Okay.
Good afternoon, good evening, good zinta, good y'all, whatever it may be where you are. I'm not Sports Cards. Hope you're doing well. Got an interesting little episode tonight. Remember to like and subscribe because if you're not subscribing, you're stealing. But got my buddy Sam's here. I was all ready to record a video, saw he was in the Discord channel, and we often have differing opinions on the state of the market. I think that could just come down to him being an optimist, me being a pessimist. And I figured, why not do like point counterpoint. The video that I was going to do was about tops killing Star Wars collecting. And but Sam, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me. Um, yeah, I think that's accurate as far as you and I go. You're kind of more pessimistic. I'm more optimistic, and the truth's probably somewhere in the middle, like it usually is. So,
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a little. Sam like to call me Chicken Little, and he knows it presses my buttons a little bit, and he's just busting my chops, and I get it, right? Like I mean, I totally get it. But I dive deep into the data, and I like the numbers to speak for themselves, but also the numbers I have access to aren't all the numbers. So. I, my thought here is that I'm getting tired of doing videos where I'm like, don't buy this, don't do that. They're ruining this, they're ruining that. But the truth is, that's what the numbers say, and that's kind of where the problem is. But again, give me your perspective before I fire into of like where we are with however you want to go. I mean, we've had three recent releases of high tech antiquities and hyperspace.
yeah, I am optimistic about Star Wars card collecting. I enjoy it. Every day I kind of learn something new about it. But I do share your frustration with how Topps is handling the Star Wars property. Um, and I kind of I've been collecting cards for about 5 or 6 years now. I've collected cards my whole life, but come back to Star Wars cards just in the last 5 or 6 years. I've been collecting toys, so I also come from kind of the toy market area, and I see Hasbro that does the toy lines kind of handling it the same way as Topps, and it's frustrating. And there's a lot of parallels there, so I don't know whether it's really Lucasfilm that's screwing it up, giving directions to the vendors on how to handle things or not. But there's definitely a lot of things to be frustrated about, mainly the fact that everything comes out at once and it just kills it's almost like you have to pick and choose what you want to try to go after. That would be my number one complaint. My second complaint would be the pricing and the inability to buy something at retail for the average collector. You almost have to be a breaker or know a breaker or know somebody that's got a direct line with Tops in order to get something at retail. Because the Tops website is things go up for sale and they last for 3 minutes. You get them in your cart and you can't buy them. So take Antiquities for example, was supposed to be $1,500. I don't know anybody that got a box for $1,500. Everybody paid at least three, if not more. So those are my two frustrating things: is the availability, and then also the fact that everything comes out at one time.
I understand your frustration and like so the you're so trying to couch what you said is like you're slightly negative but not as negative as I am is kind of like the where you sit a little bit is that
Yeah,
you have issues but not to the level that I have issues of um you know of like I mean
yeah,
I think they're just absolutely bludgeoning the collector. Like I think they're slaughtering the sheep. They've stopped shearing the sheep at all, and breaking is part of the issue, obviously. But like nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head saying you have to break. But so your complaints are the release schedules two on top of each other, and that the inability to buy it at what is theoretically retail because if you can't buy it, it's just theoretically retail. It's right, like
Right.
that's. Do you know how many boxes of antiquities there were?
I don't. Well, that leads to a third kind of issue is lack of transparency from Tops. No, the rumor mill is what people has tried to kind of figure out is somewhere around 1,000 boxes is what everyone says.
I,
I,
I
I kind of feel like there's a little more than that, but
I think
I
it's
don't know
closer
where the
to,
$1,000 number came
yeah, I
from,
would
but
say 2,000 is probably my guess. Like $6 million or whatever. Like there's a like they wouldn't put out a product to make them to do gross sales of 1.5 million, which is 1,000 boxes.
well, that's kind of what I was thinking, and also especially given the talent that went into the signers, the fact that it's all on cards, so it would have been more labor intensive to get
Well, I
the
think
product together, and
I think that's balanced out by the actual checklist, but I just don't think they actually go and produce a product that can't do X number of gross sales. And I don't think 1.5 million is enough. If you look at the other things they do, it's closer to 6 million. So, even I think 2,000 is a minimum number of boxes. I'm sure you could figure it out. I just, when they start getting into multiple one-on-ones, it gets a little more like the math just gets a little more complicated. The old days when there was just 101, it was kind of like, oh, it's this many packs. Well, we just divide the number of packs in a box and say, okay, this is how many boxes they made. But we don't have that benefit with these. But yeah, I mean, I like so there are a couple things that play for me and then what I feel ruining it, which is we've spoken many times about the fact that they have just entirely abandoned sets that are from the shows. There are no movies lately, but there's nothing, and like they even brought out Tops Now for this latest Marvel movie, but they have done, and I don't like Tops Now. You like it more than me, but it doesn't exist. It feels like a concerted effort to funnel everything into this type of product. And the like you mentioned, the idea of putting it all out at the same time just ruin it just ruins the ecosystem. And I think that they don't. I mentioned this earlier. I was like, hey, I want to do a video about Tops killing Star Wars, and you're like, I don't think they're killing it. I think they don't care, and that doesn't mean they aren't killing it. It just means they don't care if they're killing it. Does
well, yeah, I don't think that they're obviously. I'm not saying you're saying that they're trying to kill it because I don't think they would do that on purpose. But I just think it's a lack of like for instance, in this new galactic, not the Antiquities, the hyperspace that just came out. It's focused on planets or whatnot. They put the Ugnaught card on Hoth. There weren't any Ugnaughts on Hoth. Ugnaughts were on Bespin. So it's little things like that. It's like come on, is anyone looking at these sets before they go out? And it just creates this overall. And it's something. There's something like that in every set. Whether it goes back to like the debut thing, which I loved. I thought the putting the debut thing on it was a great idea, but they did it on the Chrome, and now we haven't seen it yet. Like, aren't there any? They could have thrown a couple more. They should put a couple of debut cards in every set.
well,
To kind of give you a reason to go for.
or just be consistency. Like what you're saying is that there isn't a lot of thought or plan. Like I agree with you. Like I think there's a thought in my plan, but I think at the end of the day they're like they're just buying everything we put out. Why do we care? I think that is
Yeah.
the I think they're short sighted, and that's the idea of slaughtering the sheep gets you a lot of meat, right? But you're or whatever, like but then you don't have the
Um,
sheep for future wool and all the other whatever the analogy is meant to be.
I've got a coworker whose favorite phrase is, um, uh, "Pigs get fat, but hogs get slaughtered." So in other words, don't be a hog. So it's okay to fatten yourself up on an opportunity, but there's no need to be greedy about it and
I,
short sighted. and because
Yeah.
you end up getting slaughtered. So
I mean, my personal opinion is that I mean there are lots of reasons, and I did an episode where I talked about like their profits and the idea that Fanatics is going to go public, and that you want to beef up profits in the short term. You know you'll give it up, but that could be it, or I really think that everything is built around breaking. Um, and that's really it. Is at the end of the day, breaking is driving the entire industry, sports, non-sports, whatever it may be, and that's it. Like that. That's like there's another saying. It's the answer to all things is follow the money, or the answer to all things is money. And um, so the reason that it's weird for me because I'm done collecting modern Star Wars cards. Like pretty much done because this year it's like okay, I wanted Ezra and Hera and like that type of stuff, and it's like okay, I bought one. We have no new shows, and it's like am I gonna keep? I'm not the guy who continues to buy. I don't character collect where I'm like okay, I'm gonna buy Hera again and again and again and again. So there's nothing for me to chase in anything. So like I'm left out no matter what is kind of my point. So like I don't know if I'm salty because that I don't have anything to chase, or it makes me more objective because I'm not involved.
yeah, yeah. I just get the feeling like they're putting out so much product that they do Star Wars when the printing presses aren't printing something else.
You
I mean,
I,
you mentioned the Topps now doing a Marvel card, but it was just one card and it was a lazy card. It was just like the movie poster card. It wasn't even like a 10 card set with scenes from the movie or
sure,
anything.
but
I mean,
like
it was just
we couldn't have gotten like
one card.
an Andor season 2. Like I'm not at like we couldn't have got one of those with the skeleton crew poster. Like it just again, I think they're moving to Marvel. I think Marvel is their next dumping ground of. Uh,
And Disney altogether, and the Disney
yeah,
characters
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that.
So for me as a Star Wars collector, like I'm entirely turned off. So, but I still do enjoy the data. Like I'm addicted to the data, and like I do think there's a little Schadenfreude for me where I'm like, I looked at Galactic Antiquities. I looked at everything. Chrome was the closest thing where I could be like maybe, especially at $110, that Chrome made sense, and I was like Galaxy, I don't think so, but maybe. And then Antiquities, it was like I had questions, and I saw the checklist, and I was like, don't buy this. And the sales that I'm seeing are horrific. Unfortunately, you can't see the sales numbers that I'm putting up here, but like this weekend was the first time for the auctions, and so to me the two examples of Topps killing Star Wars cards, like you can look at Galaxy a little bit in Chrome, and there's some reasons of that, but Antiquities and Hyperspace and even High Tech are like I think that most people who buy this stuff are going to lose a lot of money. Like, to give you an example, like if you put $1 in a slot machine, theoretically you're supposed to get like 95 cents back for the most part. Like I think people putting $1 into most of these products are getting 50, 30, 40 cents back, and that's not sustainable. It's like I get that you can't get 100 cents back. That's just not how it's going to work. And especially because there's gambling. But like, have you had a chance to? So this weekend was the first weekend of like a handful of auctions for Antiquities, and the measure for me usually is like I always want to see how many cards sell that can pay for a box, and
Right.
maybe that's not the way to look at this product because almost nobody's buying a box, and it's like
You can't.
yeah,
You can't buy a box.
and it's like so I guess to me is like how many cards can you sell that pay for a spot, and as we're seeing more cards come through this, the answer to that is like not a lot. Like there's not a lot of volume, which is always a problem, meaning stuff's not selling. It wasn't selling when it was getting listed at buy it now, and now that it's auctioning, it's coming in low. The sketches were doing really well, and they're still doing better than I thought. But a Kylo Ren sold for like 580 today, which is one of the lower sketches, and you know. I'm just shocked to see a brand new product with on card autos for something like, I think yesterday, like a Lars Mikkelsen, the Thrawn card on the 77 style sold for like $132. And I think it's a nice look.
I've been surprised by those Star Wars. Those seem the 77 throwback or whatever they're calling them autographs. Those seem to be selling for the low. That seems to be like the low end autograph card, which surprises me because I kind of like them better. So
I mean, well, like the Thrawn, the Thrawn's like
a base Thrawn will sell for more than the 77 Thrawn. So
I mean, I don't like. There aren't a lot of sales anyway, so it's like it's hard to call data to be like, oh, this. The only one that I think is selling better is the best card. It's the only one that I think is selling better. But there have been a lot of those sales anyway. So yeah, you've got the Mace Windu. Yeah, man, we should add that. Like, so Sam's, you did how many breaks of this product? Really, how many breaks?
Yeah, no. Well, I did because I wanted to see whether I was just mentally thinking I was doing good or whether I actually did okay.
Right,
and
I
did.
They're
I've done.
well, you sold a card that I think you got a very strong price for, and I think
Yes, yeah.
that's like I think you probably got double what I think that card is worth.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't.
If it ran at all, if it ran at
So
auction again, there's no harm in being good at finding a buyer, right? I do it all the time. I just think we're talking more about not trying to be as micro on like again. I'm interested to hear what you say, but like the reason I'm not giving the specifics is because I don't like if I think somebody overpaid for a card, I don't want to. I'm not trying to out somebody who overpaid for a card. If that makes sense. So one of your cards you sold for $1,000, right, or somewhere around that, right? Don't say it if you.
The spot cost $311 in that particular break, and I sold the card that I won in the spot. I got lucky, it was a hit draft. They randomized it. I ended up with the first overall pick. And to be honest, shoot, maybe I should have took the sketch. I forget the sketch wasn't it was a good looking sketch card, but it wasn't a main character. I think it might have been like Dengar or something weird like that. But anyway, so I got a Shin Hati gold frame out of 10 was the card I got, and I was able to sell it. So
yeah,
which paid for
was that the
couple of the breaks.
Was that the one that you had like a $60 credit for? Like again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the
Does that
break cost me $359. It probably should have cost $375.
right? Well, I'm just saying that for the person who's watching it is like you got to include that because it actually it only cost you $320 because you were smart, but like if somebody didn't have that promo code, they were paying $380 for a spot. And
I was watching some breaks. The prices on the breaks, keep going up. Like
yeah,
the first few days they were 350 to 400. Now I saw and whatnot today. There was a guy doing a 9-spot break for $499 a spot.
It's that's a different video that I not again. We're talking about doing this in segments. It's never going to work, but like the gambling has taken over collecting. And that's the same idea as Topps is making the product for the breakers. Like the people who are buying those are doing it because they want to gamble. And like there are two type of people that kind of find in there is that people who are like, there is a big card that I'm after that not that I want, but like I'm never going to get a chance to buy, in theory. It's like one of those booklets or something. It's like, I'm not even the price. It's like a lot of those cards, they get hit and they never see the light of day. And then the other people are just like, they want to gamble and they want to feel like when they're done putting their $500 down, they have something in their hand. And that if they don't do the research that I do, they're like, oh, I got a client Werner Herzog out of 10 auto. It's like, that's worth $500. It's like, no, it's not. Like, you can tell yourself that, but anyway, so how many breaks, and is that the Werner Herzog? That's like,
Yeah, it's better. Right on cue. Yeah.
that's like a
That
70,
was one that I
it's like a $50 to $75 card. Like, in my guess, right? Like, they're just not selling. And that doesn't.
Yeah, there was one today that went for real low. What was it? It was one of the most recent sales. Yeah, a gold frame, the 25 went for $90 for Warner Herzog.
Yeah, I got it right
That's
here.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, some of this is just like, there's so much about this that it's like, it's not me. And I do think I just have some, like, I don't really collect autos, even though I just bought an auto, which came in the mail, and looked nice. Came from Singapore, which is always, you never know. The delivery date was between February 28th and April 1st, and it came yesterday. So, but like, so this is really an auto heavy product. Another thing about the base cards is like some of the base cards, like there have been one-on-ones that are selling for like Jin and Cassian, 600 bucks. Like Grogu sold for 1,500. Like in another product, those one-on-ones are worth more money. Like there's so much about this product that is weird that that like the on-card autos here are kind of the same price as the sticker autos in other products. I
I think
get.
what you're seeing on the one of one base cards is we've hit a threshold where we've had four sets this year, and there's been one of one base cards in all of them. So now that's why the prices have come down on the one of one base card. That's just my, and not only that, but you're getting multiple versions. I mean, how many one of ones were in high tech? There's 7 different types of backgrounds, so 7 one of ones plus insert or plus. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, there's just tons of different one of ones, and
Well, yeah, I agree with like the Cassian 101 was up. It was like 750. I thought I could have bought it for 500. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like it doesn't mean anything. Like somehow the market doesn't care. Like it's just a weird thing about like there's a disconnect in the collectability of these cards and the price. Like I don't know what anybody's trying to hit. Like listen, well, I'll give another example. After I know we were talking about Oscar Isaac earlier. I was like, an Oscar Isaac out of 50 sold for 350, and he's one of the guys who doesn't sign, right? Like he was hey, he doesn't sign. We got Oscar Isaac back, and it's like that doesn't pay for a spot either. But like the Pedro 101, one of the 101s, the Pedro Wood 101 is up for sale. I don't even know how many 101 autos there are in this set. Do you know?
yeah, there's 3 or 4. There's the one of one that would be kind of the base, and there's the wood. If there was a limited amount of people that were in that 77 set, but you could have one of those. I don't think Pedro was in that 77 set.
No.
And then there's also what they're calling a hyperspace card.
Well,
It's a one of one.
I thought the
It's in that
hyperspace was
set. So
like the
let's say there's 5.
yeah. So the Wood Pedro 101 is up for sale, and it was up for 20. I watched it just because I was curious, and they offered it to me for 19. I was like, yeah, sure. Next day it was 15, and now I have it on my screen. Now it's 12 for best offer. So outside the booklets, which I will have an argument with you, which I think the booklets are trash, and that I don't think they're really people can put the value on them what they want, but sticker autos, I don't care. Like I just like they can do this in perpetuity, and there's nothing I'm just not a sticker auto guy. Unless it's like rookie, right? Like, random collector set of people who have been in the universe for 40 years is just, especially when they can, how many Carrie Fishers do they still have in the vault? How many, but, so if a Pedro 101 can't sell for 10 grand, the fuck is a box? Like, if you're telling me the best, like one of the best cards has to be, take the booklets out, has to be one of the 20 best cards. Has to be. Like,
Yeah.
Can't get 3 times a box. Or you're telling me they're $500 a spot now. It's like, that's with taxes and shit. That's twice a box price. What are you doing? Like, I don't know how that makes sense on any level. And if the low end you're getting killed, and on the high end you're not making any money.
No, I mean you have to pick your spots and kind of get lucky. I've gotten lucky on the breaks that I've done. I've gotten that.
But if you
Shinhati, I've gotten the
but if
Samuel
you
Jackson.
I
got a 101 base card.
Did you sell?
So
did you sell the 101 that you?
I'm definitely the outlaw.
But did you sell the 101?
I haven't really broadcast that, but I got a 101 Greedo.
But did you sell it, or did you trade anything yet, or like is it spoken?
I got it in a break.
No, but I meant like I know you were talking about trading it. Is it spoken for yet?
Oh, no, it's not spoken for yet. I've got someone that wants it that made me a fair trade, but none of the cards that they were trading me or anything that would be in my PC. It would kind of be like, okay, maybe I could sell those cards to pay for because really what I'm after is to get my break spot money back.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I don't even think that's worth a break spot. Like that's kind of my like. There's a Shinhati not Shinhati, Shock T hyperspace up for auction right now. It's at 224, and you can split hairs, but I don't think those characters they're about the same thing, and I think the hyperspace is more sought after. Like, again, I'm not trying to dish your card. I've seen other if Jin Urso's selling for $500, Greedo's not $500. Like, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it depends on the. Okay, well, again, we're talking about a trade. So,
sure, right.
This person might be a trade. Might be a Greedo focus collector. Let's face it, Greedo's not in a whole lot of products. So if you're a Greedo focus collector, and all of a sudden there's a new card, and you see someone hit and the person reached out to me. He saw me get it in the break and sent me a message like, "Hey, I saw you got the 101 Greedo. If you're interested in trading it, let me know." So I was like, "Oh, that's great."
I'm with you that, like, again, I think one of the keys for me is like when it comes to non-sports cards, just like if you're willing to wait to find the right buyer, you can get a good price. But if you're if you want to get rid of it now, that's a different kind of question as to what you can get for it, right? So like if you find the right buyer, yeah, again, I'm not, and maybe like I think you're good at finding the right buyer. You're in different places, like you're involved in Facebook groups and stuff like that, where these are not necessarily the same circles, but you're saying that guy was watching the break and found you, so that's So I'm just going on what you call it, the 130 point to see if I can find any of the 101s that sold, and so
there's some that have sold. The question is to me, you have to kind of put the characters in A, B, C, D level, and I don't know, is Greedo a C? I don't think he's quite a D because he's original trilogy. I think that gives him up a notch. So I would put him in a C level. Well, so find the character that's close to that, but
there aren't that
but
many.
Yeah, it's pricing these things or valuating these things for trades is difficult. And that's what I'm doing so far with that. Other than the Shinhati that I did a cash deal for, the other three that I have and that I've got deals kind of going is all trades, which I'm kind of happy with. I don't mind that at all.
That's if you can get that done, I think that's a good way to go. Because in the end, you're like, I'm getting cards that I care about, and
right.
like it's just especially with you as well. I think you were. Do you have like a after the shin? How much are you in all your cards for?
Yeah, right. Currently, this minute, um, I'm down $956.
But you have all your
I've got
cards.
I've got Samuel L. Jackson, which that's probably twice that there. The one of one Greedo and the Warner Herzog that's $100. So I've done well. I'm going to come out when I'm done either keeping or trading these cards. I will have added to my collection, and if you want to put numbers on it, I will have done just fine on it. But it's
Yes, sure, right.
it's been, but it's like everything. It's like everything, and that's what I am. I'm a grinder. I'll
Sure. Well, but if
grind
we
stuff
if
out.
you just
That's how I built my
if you
collection,
just take the
and it
shin,
just
but if you take the shin out of play, right? If you just take, then you're in those three cards for $1,600
I'm in these three
ish.
cards for 956.
Right, but if you take the profit you made on the shin out and like it never happened,
Right,
you'd be in those three
right.
cards for $1,600, which would not be very comfy.
19,
Well, I thought
19.
no, because you wouldn't have paid for the break, right? I'm saying
I got
you
you.
get my
I
point.
got you.
Is like I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
like take
I'm
it
with
out
you.
like it never existed. Like you never bought that. You didn't pay
Yes,
$300. You didn't get the
correct.
So like I think that's a
Yeah,
you know again, I'm not nitpicking. Like not rooting against you. I'm trying to take more the the general person, what would happen when they buy in if they hit the three cards you have. And we don't know.
well,
Like I have no idea what that Sam Jackson is worth. I know you've been talking about doing some trades with it, and it's like you had told me one trade initially, and I was like, yeah. And then now I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, the thing on it. I mean, obviously he's sought after. I hadn't signed a ton, but he's signed more here lately, so there's more of them out there. But it's on card, and it's this Beskar. People really love.
That
These are
that's
really cool.
I
This
think
Beskar set is cool. So there's a coolness factor. If you're a Mace Windu fan, then this. If you're a Mace Windu fan, this is the card you want.
right.
In my opinion.
I
So
think that's one of the things that people are trying to figure out is like what is the card that people are chasing in this product. And I think it might be the Beskar because I don't know this, but like do they have they had Beskar autos before in like metal, like in because Masterwork they've had wood before, so that's not new.
yeah, I don't.
Uh,
I mean, I think there's been metal cards before, but not like these. I think these are unique. Yeah, definitely wood. They've had a lot. Canvas and wood has been in
yeah, so
Masterworks quite a bit. I mean, I'm personally not a huge fan. That's what I'm struggling with. I've got a couple of nice trades that people are willing to do an even swap right now, which I would be great. But they're for wood cards, and I'm just not a wood fan. But everyone else is. So it's like, well, maybe,
I mean
maybe I'm just not
I don't
seeing it
know.
right. I should like the wood card, but
I don't know. Like I'm shocked at how low the Pedro Pascal prices have been in this set. I'll flick over just again. We'll keep going back to Antiquities because I could just talk about it till I'm blue in my face because I think it's a massacre. I think that like I truly think that people are getting massacred. Like I really think that people are losing around 70 cents per dollar they put in, and that's a bad thing. That includes the guys who are hitting the 101s, right? Like that's the part of that I'm saying is like it's not hey if you don't hit a big card you're losing 70 cents a dollar. I think the net because the market just is not buying these cards. Like the volume isn't there, but like okay, let's move to hyperspace for a second, which I don't know what the fuck these guys were thinking. I legitimately. I mean, I think they were thinking this. Okay, how many Darth Vader cards can we make per year? What else can we make? I know. How about the bombs that they used in Phantom Menace that the Gungans used? We're gonna make a card out of that. A Boomba. I saw 2 gold Boombas pulled. Like what? What? I'm sure, like, again, I'm sure there's a fan of Mass who's like, oh, I love Gungans, I'm gonna buy it. But like, what? You did that, and we don't have any Andor cards. We don't have any Ahsoka cards. We don't have any Skeleton Crew cards. We don't even have any like what? Like you couldn't have put stupid acolyte characters in there. Like
Right, right. That's there should have been acolyte debut cards and maybe skeleton crew, but I mean there should and there yeah. I mean that's what I'm saying when I say it's as if they don't care because this
well, because
hyperspace
we're
set.
buying it, but not me.
I'm with you. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the cool cards are cool. They look great, but for the price, they're gonna. I mean, people are gonna get stuck with these with cases of this
Oh God,
product. In
yeah. I
my
mean, you can
opinion,
buy it right now. I mean,
we'll see.
like here, I'm on eBay. Some boxes are going for 220 on eBay right now. People are just. I mean, that's more than retail, right? Like retail was 250 or
You know what?
270 or something.
179. 179 was what the Topps website was for about 15 minutes, and then they were gone.
Yeah,
Most people weren't able to get them.
Padwan just popped in here. Padwan, I just want to let you know I'm recording, just so, again, certainly welcome to chat. I just wanted to give you the heads up that we're recording this. So, but anyway, but yeah, like I think people are going to get stuck with it, and I think that, oops, I think he popped out. We're using our Discord here because that's just I don't know, I'm being lazy. But yeah, I think that yeah, like I mean, I'm seeing some of these autos though. Like the, the market has no North Star. It's kind of my point. It's like you can't pay more for an Ian McDermott out of 50 hyperspace auto than an Antiquities on card auto. Like you can, I guess, but like it doesn't make any sense. And I like either. But again, my mind is just blown that like hyperspace was what was the do you know the retail? Because I
What 179 was what was on the Topps website when they came out for like I said 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They were all sold out.
okay, so it's not that bad.
But they did let us. I'll say this: the 180, the it's shoot, the hyperspace lasted 2 or 3 times longer than the high tech was out immediately. The antiquities was out immediately out of stock. The this latest release, the hyperspace, lingered around for about 10 minutes. Still most people didn't get it that wanted it. So yeah, I mean it.
I
At
mean,
once, I mean to me that's this to me this type of set would be great. $100 a box.
I mean,
Uh,
I can't imagine
Something
it.
like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine like it being more than Chrome is a crime, right? Like that's like it should be. Why can't it
Yeah,
be 80?
Chrome was 119.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's selling on eBay for like 220, 210, 220, 215, like so. I
I
mean,
look for those to come. I look for those to just dive bomb because I've been watching some of these breaks and stuff this weekend. They take a long time to fill.
I
And like you said, you get up with a one-of-one Boomba or something. I mean, it's just the cards are cool. They're nice. Like I like to collect sets. I like to put sets together. I like to open up 2 boxes of something, try to put a base set together and sell some of the hits and that type of thing. That's what I like to do. That's how I like to collect. But you can't. They're almost making collectors like me irrelevant. Because you can't buy a box. You can't go
no.
out buy 2 boxes try to put a set. I mean, like you said, you're getting murdered. You're getting and I've seen some sports card content creators and watched some of their videos. They're kind of. I think it's starting to hit home where it's like hey, the prices either have to come down or something needs to shift in the market because people are getting hammered. And again, it's not just about even the most adamant people that hate flippers and that say, "Hey, I'm a collector. I don't care what they're worth." Even that person cares. That you got to know that you can get something out of your cards if you need to. I mean,
I mean,
they have to be somewhat like
like I said, it doesn't impact me because I'm not buying this stuff. It impacts me from the fact that if everybody keeps buying this stuff, one, I'm not going to rip modern. I'm going to just never rip modern stuff, and that I'm not going to like. They're not going to go, oh shit, we need to make Andor cards or Skeleton Crew cards or whatever, the stuff that I really would like to see. I mean, I guess a week or two ago, I ripped a box of Icon 1999 Phantom Menace. I bought that box for $80. Like, and you would be proud of me, Sam. I actually made a set. It was really easy. It was 60 cards. I was like, I got like 3 sets. I was like, I put it up on eBay. Nobody bought it, but I was like, okay, I don't want these cards. It took me 10 minutes to do it, but like, there's no way I would touch hyperspace over something like that. Now, I can't open that box over and over because I have some of the hits. I did well, but like, man, I mean, I'd rather buy a tin of Mandalorian season 1 than hyperspace. It's obviously that's what I collect and I like, but like they're the same price, and uh, you know, again, hyperspace makes less sense to me than galactic antiquities, and I think that's a disaster. So,
Well, I disagree with you on antiquities. I think that because they're starting to dry up, and I think then you might. I agree with what you're saying now. I don't think you're wrong about the data that's out there now. They aren't. They're the volume. Their cards are selling, but they're not selling quickly. But I think that they might pick up after when you can't go buy into a break anymore. I think people are still to the point where they're like, well, I'll put $400 in on a break spot instead of going out and I just because that's the way the mentality is. It's not the smart way to do it, but it's. I mean, that's how I do it too. I mean, could I have spent this $1,900 better by just going on eBay and buying 10 cards that I like? Sure, absolutely. That's what I should have done. But
listen,
you know,
there's two sides to what you just said, which is like I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon because people are too like I don't think there are a ton of people buying. There aren't a ton of high end Star Wars buyers, right? Like this was my original point with Galaxy or Galactic Files or Galactic Antiquities before it came out. I was like, there aren't a lot of people who are willing to pay over $500 for a Star Wars card. Like there are, like you or I will buy a couple, but like there aren't a lot of us. And then now you've just dropped 10,000 of these cards on the market or whatever the number is, or 20,000 cards. Like there just aren't that number of people who want to pay that much money for a Star Wars card. Like I believe the card industry right now, or like secondary market, is very price point oriented. Like, hey, you want to sell cards for 50, $100? I think you can get them all day. You want to sell cards for 500? This is not sports cards, but non-sports. It's a much smaller group, and that's again down the road when people have time to digest this, they may be like Antiquities was something special, and I want that. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think it would be the opposite, which is people are going to be like, I want to get out of this, and they're going to panic, and but I could
well, the other thing that factors into my perspective that I think the antiquities will pick up a little bit in the next couple of weeks is the fact that hyperspace sucks so bad. People will quickly go, okay, I'm not spending $225 on a box of hyperspace. I'll buy a $200 card, off of eBay, Warner Herzog Auto or a Emily Swallow Auto, something like that on Galactic
I don't,
Antiquities. That's
I get what you're saying, but that's my point about the disconnect between collectors and gamblers. Is that like I don't think the people that are doing this are collectors, and therefore, like I think the person who's choosing to not do a hyperspace break is not. I think they're, in all honesty, if you've gotten to the point you're doing hyperspace breaks, you've probably gotten murdered over the most people on average. You've done reasonably well, but I mean, again, I
yeah.
could point out some of like the losses. Like I came across a card that like one of your Harras where it was like, okay, that sucked. Like again, I just sold a big card the other day where I'm like, I paid 300 for this, so I took 150. Like we all lose money, but I think that people are out of money. I think they're not. Like I think that's kind of my point. Is like people are gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna. Why am I gonna buy an Emily Swallow auto? Like I'm not. That's not what I'm here for. And and there are a million of them, right? Like, I mean, certainly in this set, Andy Serkis, Emily Swallow, Werner Herzog are just like in every box. So I think though, like, so I think it's going to be a glut of that stuff, and I I I don't know. I mean, obviously over time, because it'll probably be, I don't know. Like, are we getting masterwork? Are we not getting masterwork? Like, or are we just going to be like, all right, we'll see you in the summer with Sapphire, and then we'll see you in August or like October with Chrome? Um,
That's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't believe there's been an official Masterworks announcement for this year. So my thoughts are if Masterworks is going to come, it'll be December again, like it was year before
yeah, but they
last.
skipped it though,
Um,
right? Like, so yeah, it'd be like
and I mean, I don't. I think we're back into the sports. And don't forget, later this year, Pops has basketball cards. So licensed basketball
and
cards at the end of
Marvel, like
this
they haven't
year.
really
So
rolled out a Marvel anything yet. So like, I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
have so,
yeah.
but I had
So
heard.
I don't know whether there'll be any kind of flagship type of set. I mean, I assume they'll do Chrome, like you said, at the end of summer. Maybe that might be the next release after this.
I think we'll get a Sapphire.
Hyperspace.
I think they'll do a Sapphire something. I think they'll do Sapphire Empire Strikes Back. That's my.
Let's see what is it. Is it Attack of the Clones? That's also what's got a no. It might be 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. So they might do a Revenge of the Sith set, which
I,
that would be cool. I mean,
I think they're going to do a 45-year Empire Strike Back. That's my. That's my. They've done. They've
that's
done.
what I would. I think the 45-year Empire would be cool.
Well, they've done.
But yeah,
They've done Return of the Jedi. They've done A New Hope. Like, and Empire's a beloved movie. I just think doing another. If I don't think you're gonna do another prequel back to back. I don't think it did well. So, and I think a lot of that had to do with the design was terrible, and but Empire's
yeah.
just a much more beloved movie, and I think it's an easier sell. But who knows, man? With these guys, they could just be like, Sapphire this year is whatever. I don't visions like.
Well, going back to my original kind of beefs I have with Tops and with how they're handling the Star Wars space is there isn't any communication or anything. And again, I mentioned I also collect toys. The way the toy hobby works is Hasbro will come out 4 times a year and do a YouTube live stream and say, hey, look, here's the action figures we're going to release next quarter, and they'll show them to you, and it gives you something to kind of plan for, be excited about, and all that. I wish they did something similar to that in the card world, where we at least knew kind of what was
Well,
coming. It's always like you have to have a secret handshake
well,
with a with a broker or a dealer, in order to know what's coming out later in the year. Like there's no Topps website's a hot mess. So you
yeah.
know
I mean, listen, I'm with you.
there's just no idea. We're all guessing.
I
It'd
think
be nice
I think
to know.
Star Wars is an afterthought. I mean, I really do. I mean, and like again, when I saw what their revenues are, like Star Wars cards are probably 3% of their revenues. Would be my guess, somewhere in that. Might, yeah, I forget what the number was, but yeah, somewhere 2 to 6%. So that's how much they care about Star Wars cards. And especially like you said, with basketball and football coming online, it's not a priority. But it's why I like, again, I know I have friends who are breakers. I have friends that like, I'm just imploring people, stop buying this shit. Like, just stop. Like, the only way they're gonna change is if people stop buying it. It's um you know uh, before I was like, yeah, let people do whatever they want. I mean, I don't like, again, I still am not, clearly I'm not like, I don't get to decide for other people. I'm just saying, like, if you want it to change, stop spending money with these guys. Like, that's how they'll change. That's all. Like we said at the beginning, the answers to all things is money. So um, that's why they're doing it the way that they are, and the only way they'll change is if they want to make more money.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I can't argue with that. That makes perfect sense. That's what I wish there was. Go. I just wish there was a little. Like I have no idea how to express my opinion. You know. Do I send an email to Top saying, "Hey, here's what you should do," or "Hey,
No,
this set
you
sucks." I mean,
should
I don't know. What
stop
do you?
buying it. Like that's the answer. Is like if you should stop buying it. I mean that's it's the only thing you can do because they don't. If you buy it and you send a letter, they don't care. They're like if they don't. That's kind of the point. Is like if you want it to change, don't give them your money. Like if you keep giving them your money, you're voting for them to do the same thing. Like it's as
Yeah.
yeah. I mean that's like I think Antiquities was an interesting idea, and I think that if it had been available to the like there are so many ways they could have made it available to the public. Like this is a world of technology where they could have done a lottery, so they could have done something to try to get more of these in the hands of collectors at the retail price. They had no.
And that's part of the problem is they give them to every. It's just part of the normal tops allocation, and these things end up in the hands of shops and breakers that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched streams where they can't even pronounce the names, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It just
I
makes me
turn
want
it.
to
I turn it.
scream. It's like,
I
oh,
can't
man,
watch
these
a.
guys don't give a shit about this stuff.
I, and they shouldn't, right? Like they like I like that's the part of me is that if again if they're selling out, they're making the money. Like the big breakers are in this to move product. Like they're the like I don't they're not like
The
can't.
tops would have sold them instead of because what they do is they force these on. If you've got an allocation, you have to buy 5 cases of it or whatever it is of everything that comes out. Whatever
But
however
that
the deal works. But like with Antiquities, they still would have sold out and made their money if they would have let the Star Wars collectors buy them on the web. Buy the product instead of
but that like
sending it to people that don't
but
get
the only
at it.
the
I mean,
only
that's the
way
frustration.
that actually happens like they're not going to do that, right? Because the breaking business is too big on the whole, so they're not going to do that. The only way to do it is to not buy break spots, right? Like this is kind of my point is like if the breakers can't fill this shit, they're going to stop buying it. And like everybody if you
Well,
want
except they have to buy it. The breaker or the breakers and the ones with
I
direct
guarantee you
allocations have to buy
I
it. It's like, hey,
guarantee you on
like,
the
hey, if you want the tops pro, you're gonna have to baseball. You're in basketball. You're gonna have to buy five
that
cases of
Sam
this crap too.
that's the way it used to be. This is not like that will happen. The truth of it is that's what's gonna happen. Right now, the breakers wanted this, right? The breakers, no breakers now like hyperspace. Like I've seen it with breakers where they're like, we don't want this shit. We just buy it to keep our allocations up. They buy it not because they have to. They're like, if we buy more, we'll get like if we buy a ton of Star Wars, we'll get more Topps Chrome baseball or basketball. So they buy this stuff and they'll move it at 10% just because they want to keep their numbers up. But I don't, again, I don't know the what you're talking about is the way the business used to work, and it's not the way it really works now. Tops is in business with the breakers. Like in
Oh
reality,
yeah.
what Tops is doing is that the wholesale rate is the retail rate. There is no wholesale rate, and the breakers are retail, and like, but not even like again, low LCSs were getting these stuff. They were selling for $3,000. There was nowhere you could buy this for that price. So again, why like I keep track of it and it bothers me is like I'm telling you they're going to kill Star Wars cards collecting. They're gonna set it back. Uh, I don't know. Because I can tell you there is more interest in Star Wars cards than there ever has been. But like I don't know. I just feel like this is too much money to set on fire in the industry, and um,
Hey, listen. On the plus side, this antiquity stuff, at least you don't have to add grading costs to it because they're already encased. I don't think very many people will be sending antiquities to PSA and throwing more money at it.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see,
mean,
but I don't anticipate that to
that's
be
a
the
whole
case.
different, like, the like I've been. I mean, I'm kind of getting out of card collecting. Like, not getting out of card collecting, but I've been for the last 9 months slowly selling off my collection. Doesn't mean I'm not buying cards. It just means I'm selling more than I'm buying. Um, and a lot of that has to do with PSA and the idea of like my feeling that I don't believe in their grades and that like it be that's part of it. But like I don't know where you go. There's just so many issues that I don't see the positives. Like this feels like a train wreck that is picking up steam with the money in breaking. Like and that the collector side is being left behind entirely.
Well,
And that's fine.
well,
Like
that's where the you have to love what you're collecting. Kind of though your love for the hobby sort of offsets the fact that you're getting killed on it. And then there's a threshold there. You're saying yours is out of whack. Mine's only about here. I mean, I'm starting to get out of whack, but I still really enjoy it, and I try not to. I try to stay at zero. I try to buy into breaks, sell if I don't get the card I'm looking for, sell it, and kind of try to buy into the
to me,
next one and
it's
try.
it's not about the money. Like I don't do this as a money maker. There are much better ways for me to spend my time to make money. It's an offshoot of like I like to fund itself or whatever, but that's not even the point of it. It's like for me personally is like when you refute PSA's ability to properly grade a card, which I do, and I can back it up with 100 examples, easy. You're then you kind of get into a narrow place of what you can collect, and the stuff I want, it's not for sale. Um, and that's and when they're not making any more stuff that I want, so I'm getting left out of.
No, I hear you there. The fact that they're not making content sets is a problem for a lot of collectors, and myself included. Like the fact that there wasn't. I mean, it wasn't an Andor season 2. There wasn't Ahsoka season 1. There wasn't
Well, there wasn't
Scarlet and Clear.
an
Even
Andor.
Acolyte.
There wasn't an
I'm not
Andor
a fan
season
of the
one.
Acolyte, but I would like some cards.
Yeah. Well, again, there wasn't an Andor season one. There wasn't the last set we got in a box was Obi-Wan, and it was awful. I mean, I
It didn't
know
do well. Yeah.
I mean, the answer why they don't do it, which we try to figure out, is like it's just not good for breakers. Is that an Andor set? What are the chase in it? Like you're only chasing a couple cards. You can't put Hamill and Ford and Hayden Christensen in every set, and then therefore it's not as good for the breakers. And it's like they can't sell the spots like they do. It becomes not a factory of breaking. It's like okay, we have to actually get people who care about these cards because there aren't that many, whatever one of one.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I think you're 100% right about that. 100%. That's exactly right. You can't, Andor season 1 is as yeah, you could maybe put a Cassian, a Diego Luna auto that would be the chase, but
well, if you think about it, right?
what would be
Like the reason I like character cards from sets is that there were 10 character cards in a set and then 50 non-character cards. So if you were chasing it, like you're chasing those 10 cards. Now there are no scene cards. So it's just all characters. So it's like, again, the world has changed. Like, as simple as this is the biggest old person thing you could say is like when you're a kid and there were lifesavers. Does anybody remember lifesavers? You know what I'm talking about, the candy. And it's like,
oh yeah,
you'd be
yeah.
like, I'd be peeling off the greens and the yellows to get to the red. You'd be like, I want the cherry one. But now they just sell a roll of cherry. And you're like, they're being a green made the cherry worth more. And now you're just like, no, here's 100% cherry. I'm like, I kind of miss the green and the yellow. And it's we all look at it differently. But I'm almost entirely boxed out of cards I want that are for sale. And also the idea of like just how long do you want to wander the desert looking for a card and it not show up. And or then if it does, somebody else buys it in the fucking 15 minutes that it was up on eBay. Um,
Or it's 5 grand, and you're the only guy that wants to buy it, so it should be 500, something like that. Yeah.
well, I had a real realization, and again, I was gonna I don't even know if I'm gonna do it, so I'm not gonna mention the card, right? Like I sent you the card that I was looking at, so I found a card that is a huge card. Found it. It was almost like destiny that I found the person who had this enormous card that's pretty much fits my collection. It's not a card I was looking for. It's a huge rookie auto, Star Wars rookie auto. You could probably figure it out, but I'm not going to say what it is. But it's a huge rookie auto, and I tried to negotiate to buy it, and the person just wouldn't give me a price, and that was hard. But I offered $10,000 for this card. That's for me. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it gave me a lot of struggle from two different things. It's like, what are these cards worth? Which is one thing. And if when they show up, you don't buy them, then what the fuck are you waiting for? Do you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of my recent thing is that like, okay, I truly have one grail card, which is the Cassian and/or rookie 1 of 1. And if it showed up, I would have to pay more than $10,000. Like I just to be able to continue to collect. I know that that's a weird thing, but like, and then the truth is like, well, now I don't even have. Even if I buy it, now I have my grail card. What am I doing? Like, again, it's an existential look at collecting. We're like a dog chasing a fire truck. Like, we enjoy the chase, and if we catch the fire truck, we don't know what the hell to do. And in this instance, like, I know you told me to, like, I don't know what your real opinion was on that card. Whether you thought,
I thought it was huge. I thought I was hoping you'd get it.
uh,
No doubt.
in hindsight, I would not offer that much money right now. Now, again, I have no idea. So the point of some of this is like with super rare cards, we don't know what they're worth. It's really the truth. Is that if you have a 1-on-1 rookie auto and you put it up for auction, you don't know what it's going to go for, right? Like there are certain cards that are so rare that people don't even know they should be looking for it. And as it turns out, this is one of those cards. There were some other issues with this card, like it wasn't graded, and given that it's a 1-on-1 that nobody's ever seen, and we don't even have examples of it, I couldn't tell you if it was real. Very much Don Quixote, but like, do you have an idea of what do you think that card goes for at auction?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult because you know there's always the potential for there to be more and more of them. I mean, even though that one being the first one is always going to be the first one. I mean, so that is critical. But the more there are, the more there are, the more people will be like, well, I don't have to have that one if I can get this one. So I that's the problem I think with the Star Wars autographs in general is that there keeps being rather than something that appreciates in value, they're always going to depreciate because they're just going to keep signing and keep signing. So that's where you got to kind of get into the collector aspect of it and be like, okay, how much does it mean to you?
Well,
in truth,
I mean, you don't have a price. You don't think like, I mean, the card. I'm
I mean,
curious.
when you said 10, I was like, I can see 10. I don't think you're crazy.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I like
but
so yeah, but you're not like 25, right? Like you're not. I mean, with an auction, it
no,
always
no, no, no. I don't think there's a Star Wars card that's worth that other than a PSA 10 Luke number one. I mean, I don't know what else.
There's one.
You know,
There's a card up for auction on Golden right now that is at 13,000. The Chrome Superfractor of Han, Luke, and Leia auto. But I think there's. All right, it's the fucking Pedro Pascal rookie auto 101 from the Mandalorian. Like, I'm not even gonna dance around it. It's the biggest in my world. It's the biggest Pedro Pascal card there is. But I don't know if it is in everybody else's world. Like, I was trying to dance around it. It's like impossible to have a conversation with it.
well, you never know. The, the risk that you would be taking is what's in May of 2026 when the Mando Grogu movie comes out. What's that going to do? Or even the thing about Pedro Pascal is he's going to be in Fantastic Four that's coming out. He's going to be in the new Mando Grogu.
Are you
movie.
trying to sell me on the good or the bad of it? Because like that I'm bullish on, like.
No, I think he's a star on the. I mean, I think he's rocketing up because you also got season 2 of
I like
what's the show on HBO with the video game
Last of Us.
Great. Last of Us, is that what it was? I mean, that's season 2 of that's coming out soon. I saw an advertisement for it. So I mean, I think the desirability for Pedro stuff is going to be going up.
It's not so much that, right? Like, I'm bullish on that, right? It's the idea of you have to. It's like we have had this back and forth before, where you're like, do people go back and look for those cards, right? Does that be like?
That's what I was meaning when I was saying he's gonna, even though he doesn't sign a lot, there's 100 new Pedro autographs that was in Antiquities, or I don't know what the exact number is, but 75 to 100 new ones. So
and those are on card, and this is a sticker. And there's a lot to this. Like, again, I guess I'm just gonna talk about it because there's a comp on Golden for the 101 duel Pedro and Nick Nolte, and it was $2,000. And I'm like, that kind of like, I get this is better, but like not like five times.
Five times better,
well, but because I kept moving my offer up, and I said I don't see a road past 10 grand, and the guy just was like, So I kind of was like, if you're expecting above that number, I'm just kind of done. And he never gave me a firm number. I came close to offering more. I came close to offering 20, and then I came to my senses. And that was the whole kind of conundrum of like, here it is. In the way I collect, it isn't though. Like, that was like the argument I had was like, I'd rather have the 101 character card because that's what I collect. I don't collect autos, and I think that is part of what held me back. But again, you never see a card like that. Like, and you guys don't know where to get it. Like that's the thing is like, I'm not like,
right. That's
like, I randomly ran into this person in a stream. That's what happened. And I thought it was a practical joke on me. I really did. And it was like, nope, here it is. Here's the card. And I'm like,
yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I'm going through the same things, a similar thing with the, I have three solid trade offers for this, and the one that I like, the one that my gut says take, is the sticker auto. That's the one that I want. I like it better. It looks better. I'm not a real huge fan of the wood auto.
So
the guy that I'm going back and forth with on it seems. I mean, I think he's a legit guy. He's even sweetened the deal a little bit tonight, and I'm like, why don't I just take this deal? Because it would make me it would make me happy. It's the one it's the card that I would like to have. I should make the deal, but I just can't quite.
I'm just like again.
I don't know why.
So sometimes people ask me questions. Like, you asked me a question about that card, and I'm like, I mean, I have information, but I'd like for you to try first. You know what I mean? Like like again, I've spent time, but like I was like, you hadn't even found the comp that I found, and like there was one that sold that
Well,
was
I looked.
yeah.
Yeah,
But again,
I
there's like
looked. I didn't show up.
an exhausting exhaust. I've seen two of them, and one of them might be the one.
Oh, that's
Yeah, the one that was sold that was a 9.5, SGC 9.5, which I that price seemed weird for me. Like it was higher than I thought, to be honest. But the other side of it is like I tried to find one, I tried to look everywhere, and like there was one for
well.
sale in Europe, and I was like, you can buy it for 50, and it's gone, it's sold. So I don't know if the one the person you're talking to recently bought that. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I might have asked him. I can't remember whether he pulled it or what, but we did go back because it's not serial numbered, so you don't know how many there are. But I think was there five of them? Were there 10 of them?
well, there
Yeah.
is if you look in the PSA pop, there are gold. So again, you can believe PSA if you want. I don't know when it gets so, but that means there are 10 serial numbered ones theoretically. Um, I have no idea. Why don't you ever see those cards? This is kind of the
Right.
like what are they worth type of thing, and it's like I don't know. Like if you went to auction it next week, I don't know what you'd get for it. You could get 800 bucks. You could get 4,000. I don't know. And
Now, on the flip side, that would be one that would be in my PC. So I'm not as concerned.
well,
I mean, again, I want to know that it's liquid and I could get
well,
something out of
that's
it, but I don't.
another.
It doesn't have to be
Well,
the
that's
thing.
an
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely when you're doing a deal, you gotta monetize it.
Sure, but like I like again when I'm looking at the whole thought, like I really had a lot of internal dialogue after that negotiation for that card because like I knew if I bought it, I wasn't selling it. I wasn't, and that's just like buying a $10,000 piece of art that you're not going to sell or a $10,000 bottle of wine. Like that's a big bill. And doesn't mean like again, if I need money to eat and whatever and all those things, sure. But like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend that much money on a collectible. And like I told you, there's one card, Cassian Andor Gold rookie. Like I'm over 10 grand, and I might not be. I might be the only one. I don't know. I hope somebody hears this and has it and wants 10 grand, and we can just be done. But that's a big bill, right? Like, it's a big bill.
I, I'm 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 surprised that the person didn't sell it to you for 10 grand. I mean,
I
must be
don't,
somebody that's just not really looking to sell it either. I mean, just
I don't know. Like, again, you can't, it doesn't seem like the person needed the money, right? And I also think that the person had talked to some people who, in the abstract, talked about the importance of the card and how people have been looking for it. And I agree with it. But you're talking to a zealot. It's like talking to a religious person about their religion. And they're going to gas you up. And like that's kind of my point is like I got caught up in it a minute and I was like, I have like I've done partnerships on cards before and I had some I could have gone higher and had people that would have just been like, I'll take half for 10 grand. We'll buy it for 20. And then I just took a step back and was like, no, like, uh, I don't know. I got sidetracked here, but like you're saying he didn't, I don't think he needs the money, but I also think he's been like, talked to some people who've said this is a ridiculous card. It's like, maybe like, I don't think like if you went to a dealer that the dealer would give you any more than 10. I don't think so because like the dealer's like, okay, I got to sell it and I got to make a profit on it. And it's like, I think a dealer would give you 5, maybe 7, the right dealer, 7,500. But I just,
yeah, yeah. I
I,
mean, what happens if that card goes up on Heritage? What happens?
I,
Does it sell for two?
it,
Does it sell for 20?
it really comes down to like, again, it's like you have to have an appreciation for the card, not just the a one of one Pedro. Okay, you're like, I can buy a one of one Pedro on card right now for 10 grand. Like, well, isn't that a better card? No, it's not, right? Like, it's not, because that's Pedro's rookie auto, and it's not even, it's the Mandalorian's rookie auto, because Pedro has an earlier card. But I don't know, like, again, it got me thinking about, do you even want to get your wish of your Grail card showing up? Like, I don't even think you have a Grail card, right? Like, I don't think there is anything you're.
Well, I mean, that Filoni auto was pretty high up on my
Yeah,
list, so I
sure.
just got that. So yeah, right now there isn't anything. That's why I got into these antiquities, because I was bored and didn't have anything. And the only reason I did more than one was because I hit on the first one, and so I'm kind of playing with house money. It's got to go to the casino, and you
Yeah.
win $500 right off the bat, so then you play for a few more hours. That's all I've done with the antiquities.
I mean, I've been going backwards and like just kind of like the only thing I can buy is like go to like the stuff I don't that I use the knowledge I have and I like the cards. So like I bought like a Rambo PSA 10 sticker. I bought like a Donkey Kong PSA 9. It's like you just said PSA doesn't matter. I'm like it doesn't, but it does. It's like if I buy a PSA 10 Rambo sticker for $35, like I'm okay. Like I know they're liquid, and it's like if I'm bored of it, or I can just stick it in my store for $100. And like somebody buys it, they buy it, and or usually what happens is somebody offer me 75, and I'll go, I don't want to sell that, and I'll raise the price to 200. But yeah, I mean, I'm just out of shit to buy. I just bought the Saw Gerrera rookie auto out of 50, and I'm like, I bought it because it was so cheap. I was like, uh, I don't have the Saw Gerrera gold regular card out of 50. And I was like, okay, so what would you pay for that gold character card? This is the gold, or this is the out of 50 auto. And I pay $500 for the Saw gold. And I'm not going to pay 100 for the out of 50 auto. Doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what to collect anymore. I'm like and even the things I want, I'm afraid I'll get.
And how much of this is also due kind of the malaise? I would say it's fair to say we're both kind of in a Star Wars malaise. How much of that is because the content hadn't been the greatest up to so 3 months from now, after in the middle of Andor season 2, are your juices going to be flowing a little bit more? I would wager to say yes, they will. So some of all this is kind of on Lucasfilm, but hey, give us something to love.
I don't. I mean,
That for sure would help.
I don't think it's as connected as you think because we're not getting the cards anyway. And so, like, sure, I would be more like, listen, I think if there were a lot of different things, if they were, like, if they announced whatever, they're gonna do an animated series between Rebels and the Clone Wars, and it's like there was a reason to speculate again, like. There's no like reason to there's no speculation in Star Wars because like are we buying Ahsoka cards now for Ahsoka season 2 in what year, right? Like you can't prospect on something for years down the road when it's not cheap now. Like that's like when I was first buying like Ahsoka cards, they were nothing. They were like, not nothing, but like they were kind of nothing. And I just realized, by the way, I'm running out of Ahsoka rookies. I know somebody who has a lot, so I'm okay.
I just raised the price on mine on eBay because I sold several of them.
Well, I mean, when it costs $24 to grade a card right now with shipping, so it changes the dynamics a lot. Like, it doesn't seem like it does, but it does. Like, going from no specials, and that's a different conversation. And, but you were saying about if the Star Wars material was better. It's like, am I going to be excited if there's Andor? Like, maybe, but, like, for what? Like, I can't imagine like what in Andor is going to make me want to buy a card if it's not an Andor card, right? Like it's uh yeah, if I love Andor more than I do now, like there are no Andor cards for sale that I'm suddenly going to go, you know what, I love it even more. I want that out of 5 uh whatever 2024 Chrome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
I
like
mean, I don't
maybe
know.
whatever like whatever Deidre turns out to be a big character and I'm like, you know what, I don't have a big Deidre, I'll buy a better but like not I'm more on the other side of like I had hoped that there was going to be a much bigger run up to Andor and that I would consider selling some of the cards I have, not uh not buying them. But there's no like we're exactly 2 months out and we don't even have a trailer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think across the board we're being let down. Like the corporations that run our collecting stuff are letting us down. From Disney to Topps to PSA, it's nobody's really showing a light of day. And um, like, I don't know. I mean, you were just talking about like I don't think before we came on is that like Diego Luna has Star Wars Celebration autos at $129. That's like again we can go back and forth about like the value of on like pack pulled autos versus whatever, and like to me there is some of that there. Like I get a pack, like we all buy into the hey 101 pack pulled auto is like has value because it's the 101 and it's different than a in person, but like at some point like the base autos certainly have to be in line. Uh, and especially,
Yeah, I think it's a sliding scale. I mean, yeah, your pack pulled one of one, or maybe you're of five. It might be better than an in person, you know, rookie. And a lot of the thing that I like about getting the in person autos is you can sort of pick, you could pick the card, so you could pick what design you like, or you could pick what color of ink you want them to use. Like I just got that my Natalie Portman back the other day, and I mean it looks awesome. I mean, I've already sent it to PSA to get it encased, but I mean I was tickled with how it turned out, and I couldn't buy a base. Well, that she doesn't have a lot of base autos, but I mean I couldn't buy the lowest end Natalie Portman pack pulled card for what this card cost me.
I
Um,
yeah,
and I'm happier with it. So I
and
mean, there's a slide now. So at some point, let's just say who signs a lot. I don't know. Well, I mean, let's just say Rosario Dawson, right? There's thousands of Rosario Dawson pack pulled autos out there. I mean,
sure.
of the one of one auto, would I love to have a one of one auto or even maybe an of five auto from Rosario Dawson? Sure, pack pulled. But if I can't have one of those two, I sure would rather have a on card auto, in person auto of one that I've picked out of a favorite card or of the rookie card or what first appearance card in an ink that I like, placed on the card where I want it placed, than a base auto out of Masterworks.
Well, guy, you can't see my
That's just me. But I mean,
you can't see my screen, but there's a Galaxy Diego Luna. The auction ends tomorrow. Out of 25, up for like right now the current bid is 227. And I was like, where the market's at, I might be able to get that for $400. And I thought about it, and then I was like with what you just said to me, what would I rather have? Me, not like again. I would rather get his like I'd rather have the like I would take a blue rookie card. I might even take the PSA 10 I have and crack it and send him to, like or a 9. Like it's a rare card. I don't if I had listen, if I was doing it in person, I would consider taking one of the golds. I would. But to ship it off I wouldn't do that. But like that's because again it gets back this is all intertwined when we're talking about like buying those huge cards. It's like at some point you buy things for you and you're not selling them,
right.
and I think I've hit a point where that's all that's left. Like the buy it to sell it stuff, it's just not as fun. Like again, like I mentioned, I bought some Donkey Kong slabs. I bought some, like that's fine. It's like I'm not like quitting collecting. I'm just like I used to be, and I know you're the same way, Sam. Is like if I sold a card, I was like, let's go shopping. And
Mhm.
I've sold a bunch of cards recently, and I don't. By the way, I don't even talk about them anymore. I don't like say when I sell cards anymore because uh, lots of reasons. Just it just doesn't benefit me. Is really at the end of the day. It's like I'm telling people what I'm selling and what I'm selling for and that stuff. Uh,
Yeah, I get it.
but the But yeah, I've sold a bunch of cards, and I'm like I have feel I'm not compelled to go like it used to be, where I was like, oh, at least even some of it, like you sell a card for $200, like all right, I'm not gonna spend $200, but I'll go buy something. I'll go through the watch list and find something that should come home, and it's like now these days I'm just like, nah, no, I'm good.
I've gotten to where my watch list is like I have my saved searches that I'll go through and I'll check every day or every other day or whatever. And if it's got to be dirt cheap for me to buy something right now. A card on that's not for a specific reason. Like I've bought the cards I've bought lately are cards that I'm gonna it's somebody that I think I'd get an on card in person auto at a convention or something soon. That's what I've bought. But like even like for Ahsoka's, I look at Ahsoka stuff every day, and there's always some numbered card or whatever that someone lists, and I'll put it in my watch list, and hey, if I get it for $4 or something, yeah, I'll buy it. But once it gets $10, $15, it's like you know.
I mean, my watch list used to be hundreds of cards. I like went through it recently and deleted most of them, and like it's like I'm scrolling in the background. It's like 10 cards, and yeah, they're like I have tons of saved
Yeah.
searches. Like if you like you're talking about saved searches, like I go through my saved searches every day, but like it gets to a point where like I don't like if you find a card that you're looking for 1 in 100 days, I don't know. Like it just like I said, that whole thing was very made me think inward because if you're wandering the desert hoping to find something and then you find it and you're like this is not good for me, you're like well then what, maybe I shouldn't wander the desert looking for it, like and
Yeah, but what I mean, and I'm serious about this. What would you spend your time doing if you weren't collecting cards? Because like I collect cards to escape from the day job and from the stresses of life or whatever. So
I
I
just my
that's kind of
mind
where I escape.
my mind just
I
works
mean,
differently. Like my mind is always like this thing, and it would just find something else. Like I've had other hobbies I've gotten into. Like I used to play poker seriously. I used to do daily fantasy seriously, and I've been doing cards for a few years. Like again, as like I get a little too heavy into it, and I don't know. I would find something. It's like I spend a lot of time with AI. Like I write songs. I have an AI band that like people don't know exists and like that has been played on the radio and like I would spend more time doing that. Like I don't know. Like if you you say you do it to escape, like I'm always doing it to put my mind to a problem. Like I get real joy out of solving problems and knowing how things break and like when it's just routine of just okay, hit the like I don't know. Like when there are no more puzzles to solve in here, that's kind of the point where I'm just like waiting for people to find cards in a shoebox or to decide they want to sell them. This is not a flip of a switch. Like you know me a long time, a few years now. It's like this has been constantly happening in the last couple of years because over time you find less things to collect. Like, or you acquire the things that you want and realize certain things you can't have. And it's not about money. It's about nobody will sell them. And so, your original question of what would I do? There's lots of shit I would do. Um, but I'm not a balanced individual. I'm not a person to be like, I'm going to put this down for and I'm gonna stop collecting cards for 3 months and go whatever, focus on something else. When I'm done, I'm done. Like I used to play daily. I used to do a lot of stuff with daily fantasy. I had a daily fantasy podcast. I was very involved, very involved. I don't play it at all, at all. Like not. I don't. It just poker. Poker I still watch and I'll play every once in a while, but I don't know. I would find a new
Hey, I've
hobby.
been I've been where you're at before, and I think for me, what I do is I just adjust my parameters. As I think what happens a lot of times in this card in the collecting world, because like I said, I left toys and came to cards, so I kind of had my I'm done with toys moment, and fell in love with card collecting. But sometimes you just and I think you've said this, you gotta adjust the parameters as to what you're looking for or what you want to have in your collection and thing like that. And it's you're running out of things to
Well, like
look
you
for.
made a big
And
switch to the on card autos, and like there's just no switch
yeah,
for me. Like there's no, uh, like that's kind of the, I don't. Again, I'm not like again, I'm not. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating my point of view, which is I think
yeah.
like with the
What's
stuff.
your current state of affairs?
Right. Well, we talked about earlier is tops killing Star Wars collecting. Like to me, like for my the way I collect, this is a part of that, which is like they don't make cards anymore, like the way I collect, and so it's like you have to go backwards, and it's like okay, I've gone backwards, uh, like even like a Ray Gold rookie. It's like I was looking for one for years. I'm like I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like one, but at this point, I've been looking one for years and I haven't been able to find one. Like, but adjusting my parameters, like, I used to grade a lot. I'm not grading at all. And the only reason I would grade at this point is to make money and to fund collecting. And I don't really, I don't know how much you're grading, but I'm really grading zero, like zero. Like I have no cards at PSA. I haven't had cards at PSA for months. I put orders together and then didn't ship them. I wish I had, but I didn't. So
Yeah, I've got a couple of orders at PSA now. One of them is a Pokemon order for my son that I just went through with him, just for fun. The other is my on card autos that I get. I like to get them encased, because since they are not pack pulled, you know, authenticity is something that's an issue down the road. So having them encased is sort of that's the whole purpose for that. But I did find myself like I had a stack probably 50 cards that I need to get encased, that I've gotten in person autos on in the last year or so. And I ended up sending 13. Whereas 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, it'd have been a no brainer for me to send all 50 in. So, I mean, I've definitely, I don't know whether smartened up is the right word or whether it's just my parameters changed. I mean, they're cards that I do want to get encased at some point, but I can't, I'm not going to spend the money to get like like I've got a box here that I have that say is to be graded, and then I've got a box here that says to be autographed. This is sort of the center of my collection going right now.
yeah,
These two boxes to get graded, to get autographed.
I mean, I
And that's
have.
it.
I have piles
Mm.
of cards that could I have cards that could be graded, should be graded. I just I don't know. The
But the to be graded pile, I just sent an order in December for the special that was out, and I instead of sending in 40 cards. Some of these cards should have gotten sent in then, but I was like, no, it's
uh,
not. It's not.
I have a
I'll
hard
wait later.
like. I mean, you're talking about you want to encase certain things, and like I have cards that like are whatever rare higher end cards that I would like graded. There's just a part of me that like I never say it's not about the money because like yeah like if it were somebody offered to pay for me in truth some of these cards like I just don't trust PSA. It's like I don't put a whole lot of stock in their opinion for cards that I'm not going to sell, right? Like where it's so I'm really, I came up with the glorified one touch, but for a lot of those cards, that's really what it is. And I don't want, like, again, it falls into categories of I don't even want them to touch this card because I don't trust them, and I don't care about the grade. So I'm literally sending it to you to put it in your thing. Um, and then whatever. And then the cards where it's like, okay, if this gets a 10, I can make money off of it. A 9, I'll maybe a little, the stuff, whatever. An Eric Cartman. It's like, done very well moving those type of cards over time. So I'm like, I just have lost my desire to grade those type of things. And,
Well, some of that's market related because it's tightened up so bad that you have no room for error. I mean, because PSA is so random. I mean, there's been several videos. I think you made one about the the lack of gems. The tens has dropped quite a bit. So some of that's poor quality control on the manufacturer's part. Some of it's grading standards changes. But I mean, it's made it to where when you can't get when a 9, which is mint, doesn't get you a premium, then it's not worth it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't touch like the modern card stuff. I wouldn't touch it because, like I've shown, it's like there's no value in it. Like it's just it's just putting money into a slot machine and losing. Like you're gonna, they're with Star Wars cards. Like right now, there's just almost no reason to grade a Star Wars card, modern one, to authenticate it, and the older ones like. I have a card coming back. Like if you remember last year, I got like a pile of Marvel cards graded, and I was literally cursing up and down that these guys gave me. So I sent one to that guy Frosty. The card went up 2 grades. The number of instances of them just getting the grade wrong doesn't excite me to do it because when you get it back it's just like it's a better ROI than like opening a box, but like it's frustrating knowing again for me it's like the cards I grade I've done very well. Like if I send an Eric Cartman in, I paid nothing for the card, and it's even in an 8 I can get my fees back. I don't mess with other stuff, but but knowing that I can send them a 10 and it gets a 9, it takes the fun out of it for me. Like that, I know that it's somewhat random, and it's not just mistakes happen. It's mistakes happen all the time, and you have to accept that, and that's. I don't know. Like that's for everybody to make their choice of what that matters to them. But like I don't know. I just we'll see if PSA runs like when they raised the prices. I thought one of the reasons they raised the prices was to get people to pay for the club. Is that they took the shortest month of the year to raise prices so that people remember that they were $20 at one point again. And when they drop them back down to $13-14, they'll be like, oh boy, thank God. But we'll see. I don't know. I can look at my own card collecting and it goes in phases. Like, sure, I may get excited about it again in the future. Like, what would get me excited is if there were suddenly a rush on non-sports cards where it's like, oh, Eric Cartman cards are now, PSA 10 is $3,000. Like, I can't believe I sold mine. But
Yeah.
lucky for me, I've got 5 more. Like that's where I'm sitting now. Is like I put videos on this. Like if I sell a card, I usually go buy another raw one, and I used to grade them. Now I just don't grade them. I'm just like if the market, I don't know. I like it's. And when I hear it out loud, it sounds a little ass backwards, but it's like it's just. This isn't about the money, so like it's about the enthusiasm, and I've lost the enthusiasm to for like PSA, but it'll come back. We'll see.
I think that's pretty common. I think you're not alone in that right now. Like I said, I definitely have waned in how much high grade. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 orders there now, but one is a one car. I've sent in the Filoni Auto to get graded. Hopefully, I'll have that back in a couple of weeks. Um, and I sent in a Anthony Daniels 77 tops card to get graded. So I have 2 1 card orders, and then I've got my December order, non-sports order, which I think is 20 cards, and then I've got that Pokemon order.
Nah,
So it's so
I
it sounds like I've got a lot out there, but it's really
I had it. I
enough.
had
And I
it.
don't at this stage. I don't have another plan to send in another order.
I mean, I
I don't know. I
should.
don't know when the next one will be.
I should. I mean, again, I've sold cards. I've done well, right? Like cards specifically, I'm talking about where it's like, hey, I sold an Iron Man checklist, PSA 8 for like $55. Again, this is not big money, but it's like this is the bread and butter for years. It's like, okay, I paid $1 for the card. That's not a great grade, even though those great tough. Send one in. And I have a pile of those cards of like, I graded it and from an 8 to a 10, did well. And I have another one. Let's just do it again. And just, I mean, I've done a few videos where I'm like, here's the order I'm going to send to PSA. Fill out the form and everything. And then it just doesn't make it out the door. And then I'm like, oh shit, time expired on me. And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at more of these antiquity sales.
Going back to the optimistic part that I have, I'm optimistic that Andor season 2 is going to be really good, and that might kind of stoke the flames a little bit in the collecting world. Even though I agree with what you're saying, it's not like they're going to come out with an Andor season 2 product.
I
But
listen. There's a
I'm
difference.
hoping maybe they do tops now. They haven't been. They stopped the tops Throwback Thursday sets. There's nothing non-sports out that tops now.
You asked me the
Captain
question of
America
like
card as well.
if Andor season 2 is great, will I get more excited about it? It's like I I don't know how much more of an Andor person I can be, but I do think that if it's great, other people will get excited about it. But I don't know what does that actually look like? We haven't seen. We don't know because we have never seen that, right? We have never like
Right, the recent content's all been kind of a downer. I mean, Skeleton Crew was good, but it didn't move the needle any.
right. And
Yeah.
when Mandalorian
Mandalorian
was
was
good,
it's not
the
good.
Star Wars cards wasn't what it is now, and like so I don't think we've had good content like to like go back. I mean, the closest thing would be the Ahsoka when the Ahsoka series came out, and people like I think it got people to go back and like make the Clone Wars cards a thing. Um, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know how many Cassian rookies I have. 50? Like, I just for years I just buy them. Like
Yeah.
if they're cheap, I'd buy it. Same thing with gin. Just buy it. Just buy it. Like I mean, can't tell you how many I've given away. Every time I sell anything on eBay, I give cards away. And if somebody buys something,
Oh, you know what I've sold recently? You know how 2 years ago I on Facebook I was able to get the Clone Wars set, the foil set. That's when I got my second Ahsoka foil. Um, I've sold singles out of that set, more than paid for the set. But I had someone reach out to me and bought. I think I had 30 or 35 cards left. They were all commons, non Ahsoka cards, and I had someone buy all of them from me.
oh
So I
nice.
got $10 a card out of them. So that was a nice. I don't know whether someone must be building a set or something, which is great. But that was sort of an out of the blue thing. I had them all listed on eBay, and they reached out and like, hey, if I want all of these, can you make me a deal? So we did. We made this deal.
It's again, I'm like my. That's awesome. Like my struggle has not been from the idea that I can't sell cards. Um, it's that I. It's all the things we talked about. Of like, if you don't want to, like, part of the reason I'm selling cards is like I've sold some 77 cards. I have kind of my 77 cards where like these are not getting sold, and then I have ones where it's like I've sold a couple recently. And I'm like I didn't really want to sell it, but like if you don't believe in PSA, you kind of believe an 8 and a 9 are pretty much the same thing. and you can buy an 8 for $40. Someone wants to pay 200 for a 9. It's like, okay, like I guess I'll just take the money. And uh, but again, like it's like they're my cards are selling. Like I remember like last year this time I was selling a lot less, and yeah, again I just wish there was something that would get me excited about it. And it's like for me, it's like it's either like there's no new product, but it used to be I would find these little things to like that. Like I got really excited about Mandalorian cards last year, and like I think that bought me some time. And like now it's like Mandalorian. Okay, there's nothing. Like
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, where the problem with the Star Wars hobby is the good cards get, they're out there for a second, they get in a collection and they're gone. They're gone forever. They get locked up.
yeah,
And,
I guess so. This is weird because I'm looking at Antiquities and I'm watching auctions end, but they're not. Oh, maybe if I just do sold? No, I'm just, yeah, you can't see my screen, but like there's a lot of stuff out of.
sorry, I've actually got it up right now too.
And it's like it's just not. It's not, but it's not refreshing like the sold.
So a base or a metal Luke Skywalker card went for 117.50 just now. And in the box, that's probably the fourth or fifth best card that would have been pulled out of that box. Obviously I didn't see this card get pulled, but
Yeah,
the metal card is usually
yeah, it's weird because like I have it. I have two different tabs where I have the. Go ahead.
I would put this Garza flip that is sold out of 50 for 152. That's a pretty solid sale for some reason her autograph's not sought after. I think that ought to be a decent autograph. Jennifer Beals, that's pretty well known actress. Hasn't signed a ton. I mean, she's been in 3 or 4 sets, I think, but I think that's probably her first on card auto.
The
So
one.
$152 for that. That's probably decent.
I mean, I see one in three
It was
minutes.
surprised me.
I see one of hers in
Surprised.
3 minutes that ends. That's at $86 right now.
Okay, we'll be curious to see where that ends up.
And
Because
then
this
like
one
the
was sold
John
tonight.
Ratson, like there's a lot that go. Like sometimes like I get perturbed with you when you simplify what the data I look at because I can't give you all the nuance. Like some of the nuance that's on this is like some of the stuff is from Hong Kong, and you shouldn't look at stuff that comes from Asia the exact same way as in the United States because of the willingness for it to stay in Asia. So there are two type of things that sometimes it goes really for more than it should, and it rarely goes for the price it should. It either is way higher or way lower because either people don't want to get it shipped from there or it's staying in Asia and they don't give a fuck. So I know it's weird. It's just again, it's a little bit of the nuance that I look at. Like same thing with the UK. Like a bunch of stuff sold in the UK today, which did really poorly, and it's like you can look at that. Is it because people didn't want to pay the shipping? Uh, you know, there, there's a lot that goes into looking at this data that, again, it's an inexact science. So, like, some of these things, like what I just told you about Hong Kong, it's made up, but it's also based off of what I've seen over time and cards I've bought where if you're bidding from, yeah, I see I don't know. Again, like my stuff won't catch up to the stuff that's sold because theoretically there's a bunch of stuff that should have sold from Hong Kong that is not showing up in the sold listings. Like the last thing I'm showing is a size Snoodles out of 25, and I just watched 10 things end. So let me see.
Yeah, eBay's definitely a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, I think eBay's gotten way worse, and that's made it a problem. Like you said, you couldn't find that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. We could type in the exact same phrase in our, search engine, and we'd both get different results.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I just don't understand. Like I'm watching stuff end. So this Garza Flip's now at $91. It's an out of 50. Again, I'm not like I don't. You're gonna have a hard time telling me that an on card out of 50 autos that goes for a quarter of a spot is a win. Like, uh, maybe my number of like 70% is wrong, but like even if 50%, at 50%, that 50%, 2,000 boxes. That's $10 million. That means that $5 million is evaporating of Star Wars money, and it just impacts it. Okay, so this just went up to 120.26. That's what it sold for, the Garza Flip, I believe. So that's yeah. I mean, again,
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
I just like, to me, these prices are closer to masterwork, but we're way more. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about it, that's what they did. It's basically they said, here, let's take 5 boxes of masterwork and just throw out all the base and put it in one box, right? Like,
Yeah, I think that, yeah, yeah. Which honestly, I like better. Yeah, I would take this over Masterworks,
I mean, I'm not, I
but
wasn't.
I guess Masterworks is usually 300-400 a box, so Masterworks is more affordable for the masses.
Yeah, sure. Like, again, what do I know? Like, I think I'm just uh, burnt out. I've been a lot of videos over the last few months to, looked into a lot of different topics, and I think I just, I think maybe I'm looking at everything glass half full. John Ratzenberger out of 50, $41. Not saying, like, I just think that's weird. The back of this is showing a Bo-Katan. That's some of the weird shit you're just gonna get out of what you call it, out of Hong Kong. Because the next card's there's a Bo-Katan out
Well, I
of.
mean, so my analysis of the antiquities, kind of the final things, like at $1,500, I think it would have been a great product because, and I think that's about what the price, with what prices are going for now. So you figure the sketch card you're going to get six, seven, $800 out of.
That's.
You
I
might
mean,
get
that
two. I mean,
that
your top two, your top two autos might get you another $400 or something. I mean, you could at $1,500, it makes sense, and it's a you can buy 2 boxes, sell the cards you don't want, trade for ones you do want. I mean, you could work within $1,500 a box for 9 cards in this current setup, but at $3,000 and $4,000 a box, I can't, I have to agree with you. You're getting slaughtered. I
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
again, I'm beating a dead horse, and like I think, like we talked about earlier, is like it's not an individual thing. You can disagree with me on the levels of this, and you can say, it's closer, whatever. It's not as bad. It's like it's one on top of the other, which is like Chrome started out okay, and then Chrome went to $400 a box, and then you couldn't make money. People bought Chrome at $400 a box. We're losing money. Um, and breaking spots, like, and then Galaxy was a bigger letdown because graded cards didn't sell, the hits weren't there, fewer autos, and then you roll into high tech, which now has 7 or 8 one-on-ones, and the one-on-ones weren't even, you can buy one-on-ones for under $100. Then you roll into Galactic Antiquities, and it's like, okay, well, you know, now we're gonna lose a bunch of money here, and they're like, oh, fuck you, here's hyperspace, which is the worst thing. And it's like it's an accumulation of blows, and it's just much easier to see on Antiquities than it is anywhere else because of the big prices. It's like, oh, okay, fewer cards, it's just easier to see. Some of the auctions that ended did pop up, like I think like the Katie Sack, but still, like, I'm not seeing cards sell for over spot price, over and then the last few sketches have been closer to 500, and I do think that the sketch prices have been, for the like average sketches, are a little. I don't think they're going to stay up there.
the sketch collector community has loved these things, and I mean, I'm not a sketch guy, but I gotta admit, there's some banger sketches that I've
Sure,
seen come
again,
out
I'm
of
not
it.
a sketch guy
That
either.
look awesome, but I mean, yeah, I don't. I have a hard time, see,
Well, like
pay the prices that they are. In fact, most of the time, if you're in a 9 hits draft and you get the number one spot, more often than not, you're going to take that sketch card, out of these.
I
As
mean,
far as
well,
if you're looking to make your money,
yeah,
all
based on
that.
the sales, I would agree with you, but I do think that, like, I mean, we'll see how that plays out in the long run because, listen, I'm not a sketch person. But doesn't mean I don't appreciate a sketch. But like, I have seen where an artist has done a sketch, and you can go buy almost the exact same sketch in a different set for 20% of it. Is it worth 5 times again to go to the 5x7 from like if it's like that's one of the more troublesome things is like here there are sketch artists who are just doing the same sketch over and over again. Like here's Shmi Cyrus. Like I like you would like to think it's a unique piece of art. It's not. Like on a considerable amount of them, it's hand
Well, the other
drawn.
thing I've noticed is more and more of them are doing, they know the desirable sketches are Ahsoka, Padme, Anakin, Darth Vader, Yoda. There's about 10, and the artist, in order to be popular, want to do the popular art, the popular characters, and so therefore
I would assume
like
they get some direction,
I've seen more Padme sketches come out of this product.
but
It's like every artist must have done 3 Padmes.
I would assume they're getting some direction. I don't think they just like the average sketch artist doesn't get just give us a Star Wars sketch. Like I think they're given a here are the things that you can do. Like because if not,
Well, but if you're a sketch artist in Antiquities, you're a notable sketch. They didn't get
again, well, again, like a no. What is a notable sketch artist? Like, I don't mean to shit on the sketch artist. To me, there are probably 5 to 10 real notable sketch artists. It's like artists. Like,
closer to 30 or 40 to be honest. But
I like
from what I've seen, again,
I've been in Star Wars long
so
enough in a tertiary level that I only know 4 or 5 names, and like I would know. Like, I mean, I don't mean I would know. Like, I'm not a sketch collector,
well,
but like,
the number one name is that Angel Aviles, and
right.
I saw that he only did I think 2 sketches in this product, and one of them sold and it was only $1,800 because I was shocked.
Well, like again, there's a lot like the sketch part. Like, I'm not gonna go too deep in it because I don't know it. But like from a data perspective, some of it looks bullshit. Like there are a couple of Ahsoka sketches that sold a couple times. Like there's just like if you just take like if you just peruse the data, it's easy to come up to an opinion that's probably not entirely accurate. Maybe I look at it too closely and then I make it do whatever I want it to do. But yeah, I don't know. I can appreciate sketches. I'm just not so sure it being on a 5x7 makes them suddenly instantly worth 10 times more, right? Like the average sketch out of whatever Chrome was not like if you go back and look was I'm talking about like the lower like the better one, sure, but like if you just got like a random whatever shock T sketch, it was $50 at the end of it. Like not like when people are going crazy, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I think that the quality of these sketches in Antiquities is definitely much.
I mean, I'm looking at like
much better, but
I'm looking at I could show you. I wish I could show you this. Like, type in Star Wars Chrome sketch. There is a Kylo Ren that is ending in 30 minutes. It's at $45 now. I swear, a version of that sold today in black and white in Antiquities for $500. Like, again, I'm not a sketch collector, so like I'm talking out of school. But like I from the math, I'm enough of a, I can look at something and see if it's looks similar, but like, yeah, there's, yeah, I don't know. Like I would bet you that in a month that most of the like a lot of those sketches will be closer to the $200 and $300 level, and not that
right.
again there will be ones that are 5,000. I just am saying that. and they may be the winners out of this, like because they're unique or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, this like the original part of this was to talk about how Topps is ruining Star Wars cards, and I think that is. I mean, I don't know about sports cards and anything else. I would assume they're doing it everywhere. That's what I feel. The only
Well, I think if anything, Star Wars collecting and non-sports collecting actually has it a little bit better than the sport. I mean, I'm glad I'm not collecting sports cards from the things I've seen
oh sure, right, like
and
and like I said, I'm not involved in any of this
I
stuff.
guess so. Yeah, so I mean, I think I would stop short at saying that Pops is ruining it, but I would definitely say they sure aren't hitting it out of the park. I mean, they're not. I would give them a C minus D plus type of grade for the last 2 years of Star Wars.
I mean,
Chrome last year when it came out was awesome. It was a good
but
product, and
I don't like.
we were all starving for it.
Yeah, I think that's
And
the key to that, which is like if if you starve people of cards for 9 months, whatever. It was a long time. It was like 9 months from the
yeah,
release of Masterwork to that, and I don't know. I'm just I think that maybe a better way to look at this. I think they're squandering an opportunity. Is
agree.
is that they're taking what what I had hoped as being a non-sports collector. And like I think there's a real opportunity to propel non-sports, and like they're just like being a fat pig. The hogs get slaughtered. Like they're being a hog, and like I think that they're getting people in, but I just think they'll get them in and they'll make their money and they'll just never come back. That's yeah. I don't think that like I sound like the old man get off my lawn. I just like I don't know how collecting sustains. Like if you look at the like baseball cards, like there is this lineage of going back over time and looking for it. It's like if there's no backwards look, if like a Luke rookie card PSA 7 is worth less than a spot in these things, it doesn't add up to me. And maybe that balances out and maybe that's just old man on the lawn, but like they're not making any more Luke rookie cards. They're just not. But they're going to make there's nothing in this stuff that they can't just make again tomorrow. And yeah. I don't know. Any other topics you want to cover, Sam? I feel like I'm beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I do want to ask you off air. I want to ask your thoughts on something, but
Okay. All right. Well, I will
on.
let me
I've enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully others do. And I think I don't think that you and I are alone in either of our outlook. Like I said, I know you're more on the downward slope, and I'm more on the we'll hang in there slope. But I think we're a lot closer together than we are.
Yeah, I think it's just like I spend my time in the data, and you're like, that's not what you come here for. It's not what you like, and I like the numbers.
Yeah.
And the numbers, like, it's very easy to like. I could paint a rosy picture and be like, hey, I sold this many cards this month, and they, and talk the rosy picture. I'm like, no, what I like to do is look at the data I always have, and I don't. I hope that I like don't come into it with like an opinion, and then make the data say what I want. I think the data should speak for itself. But well, I thank you for Sam, and I'll just end the show now and say thank everybody for watching, and we'll get at you next time.